This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. We begin tonight with the uncertainties surrounding the future of Tasmania's statewide competition. Our sports reporter Tom Cooper joins us now. Good evening, Tom. Now, you've been reporting on this situation for quite a few weeks now, and it would appear the divide between the Tasmanian football community and AFL is actually growing.
Good evening, Joe. It would certainly appear that way. TSL club presidents and members from the AFL steering committee met yesterday in what was assumed to be a mostly confidential exchange. But today, club presidents have revealed what was told to them inside the walls of Blunston Arena as they continue to seek more clarity and involvement from AFL House. Let's take a look at how it's all unfolded.
Only 8 weeks out from Judgment Day, but just where Tasmania is heading as a proud footballing state is still anyone's guess.
There's a real imbalance between what the 7 TSL presidents believe is best for football in Tasmania and the steering committee at the moment.
Yesterday's meeting between the two parties in Hobart, prompting frustrated club presidents to reveal just what was said behind closed doors. Yesterday we were told there's no additional funding for the TSL. It will be capped at $1.3 million. We were told the model will either be a TSL or a VFL team, not both.
Yesterday we were presented with a lot of strategy, so I question whether we've actually been told the truth.
Regarding the embattled Northwest Coast region, which recently saw both of its TSL teams fold due to a lack of player numbers, AFL Tasmania CEO Tricia Squires had this to say following yesterday's meeting.
We didn't actually really get to that today, but we talked about that we would like to see a Northwest presence. We haven't looked at yet exactly the steps to be on the Northwest. That's what will be on the next agenda.
However, the presidents claim they were told directly by one of the steering committee members if we were going to invest money in footy in the state, we wouldn't invest in a Northwest team.
We were concerned yesterday to hear from the steering committee that there isn't a lot of interest to look at a Northwest Coast option.
The TSL clubs currently have a 10-year licence agreement in place with the AFL, with a 12-month notice period required if those were to be cancelled, meaning if the TSL is put on the scrap heap come June 30, players and clubs may still be required to play out the 2019 season with knowledge it's their last. If it comes to that, clubs haven't ruled out the possibility of continuing as a statewide competition without the support of the AFL.
Sanity will prevail and the TSL will prevail further past next year.
And with growing scepticism about which members of the steering committee have been actively involved in the process, Southern Cross News today requested a list of which committee members have been present at its meetings to date. The AFL declined. Tom Cooper, Southern Cross News.
A group staging a politically charged campout on Hobart's Parliament lawns say they won't give up their fight after being evicted by police this morning. The Premier says his government is taking strong action to ease the housing crisis, a statement rejected by both Labor and the Greens.
A tent city dismantled by the force of 20 police officers.
They were here at 7 o'clock and we had 15 minutes to get out of our tent and get out.
Those lawns are effectively owned by Parliament House and the controller of that area can control those grounds.
This group of about 15 people obtained a permit to protest during the day on Tuesday but stayed on. This morning, officers swarmed the site, leading to the arrest of 2 people who were charged with trespassing and have since been granted bail.
Only one person offered any resistance and it was relatively passive.
The group called Occupy Tasmania, calling on the government to take immediate action to the housing crisis.
We want them to listen to our stories and hear what's really happening because they do have their head in the sand.
Action, our Premier says, is already underway.
Putting forward not only programs to deal with the longer term with a major increased investment into affordable housing, but also some very urgent measures to support people.
I mean, this issue isn't going away. Just because they're out of sight doesn't mean they're out of mind.
The most significant response they've made so far to the housing emergency is to be part of a process that saw people dragged off the lawns of Parliament this morning.
It's understood the group was contacted by Housing Support Services this week and that as a result, 2 people have found suitable accommodation and the others were taking part to draw attention to the plight of those sleeping rough.
I definitely think our message is getting out. I've seen lots of movement on social media in the last few days.
The group says it's planning to stage more protests, with the police remaining on site this evening. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
A 30-year-old man accused of stabbing a woman in the neck and stomach at Mowbray's Target last month has pleaded not guilty to wounding. Hemant Casey's defence lawyer entered his plea in the Launceston Magistrates Court this afternoon. He has been remanded in custody and his case will now continue in the Supreme Court on the 23rd of July. Mr Casey and the alleged victim are known to each other. A 4-year-old girl who died after being thrown from a car when it rolled at New Norfolk in 2014 should have survived if she was properly restrained, a coroner has found. Molly Margaret Ann Marriott was sitting in a booster seat in the back of a car her mother, Tamara Whitford, was driving before the fatal crash. Coroner Olivia McTaggart today ruled her mother should have stopped when it became apparent Molly was not restrained. Ms Whitford has previously pleaded guilty to death by negligent driving and driving with alcohol and drugs in her system. The coroner says the incident serves as a reminder that driving while impaired by alcohol or drugs can significantly increase the risk of death. A new task force is being set up to tackle the issue of game animals across Tasmania. The state government today asking for expressions of interest to join the Tasmanian Game Council, which will look at how to better manage deer and browsing animals. Currently, fallow deer are considered an invasive pest, but the species is protected for recreational hunting.
The Council will advise the Minister and the Government on a range of policy areas. Some of the things that we took to the election are expanding crop protection permits for deer for 5 years. They'll also advise the Government on a range of other areas, but also be part of the statewide census that we have committed to, so we have a better understanding of deer around Tasmania.
Council applications close at the end of May. Tasmanian water and sewerage rates will rise by 4.1% next financial year. Taswater's announcement comes after the economic regulator today made its final determination on the utilities price and service 3-year plan. The state government has proposed freezing water rates for the 2019-2020 year and then capping them at 3.5% thereafter. 2 women in their 20s have sustained minor injuries after being involved in a single vehicle crash in Blackman's Bay. Police were called to Brightwater Road around midday. It's understood the women were involved in an altercation prior to the crash. Their injuries may have resulted from that rather than the crash. Anyone with information is urged to come forward. A group of daring Tasmanian climbers is staging an unusual protest 100 metres above sea level on the side of Mount Wellington's organ pipes. Protesters will be camping suspended on the cliff face for the next 2 nights to campaign against the proposed cable car development.
This would really spoil the feel. It's a little bit like, I suppose, if you could imagine the Sistine Chapel with a disco ball hanging from the ceiling. Even if you don't damage the ceiling, it still desecrates the place.
A community event will be held at the Cascade Gardens on Sunday to oppose the development. There are dozens of stories each year we would love to share with you from the state's largest agricultural event, AgFest. Well, tonight we bring you just one of those stories. His name is Alan Gray and he's known as the Engine Whisperer, thanks to the success of his popular YouTube videos. The 83-year-old is in Tasmania to learn the latest in 4-wheel drive technology and in the same way share his experiences with our farmers.
Dubbed the Engine Whisperer, there's little Alan Gray doesn't know about what's under the hood.
I like to listen to a good motor. It just sounds so nice, you know. Makes my blood boil.
Uncle Alan, as he's often called, started as an apprentice in 1948 and is now a YouTube hit, sharing tips of the trade with an eager online audience. He says he's a people person and loves learning from others, with AgFest providing a perfect opportunity to do just that.
AgFest is good because it has a wide range of things, not just 4-wheel drives and motorbikes and caravans. It's incredible. And I had a walk around till I was tired out yesterday, looking at all these sort of things and asking a lot of questions.
And he's not alone, with an estimated 20,000 people traipsing through today. Many came prepared for rain and mud, donning gumboots and waterproof clothing, but it wasn't needed with the weather holding up.
It's been really nice, which is good. No rain yet.
Well, first time I've ever been, and just decided it'd be a good time to come and do it and have a look. Never been here before, and we're actually looking for a mulcher for home too, so we thought if we're going to find one, there'll be one here.
We come every year. Yeah, it's nice. At least the sun is shining for a change.
New additions to the rural heaven this year include a marine safety exhibit, show cattle judging and junior livestock handling.
Like, where else can you go in Tasmania for $25 and experience anything from cars, boats, tractors, excavators, sheep, cattle? Like, the amount of stuff here that appeals to absolutely everyone. You know, that's why I think it's such a hit.
Jessica Moran, Southern Cross News.
Around 100 Tasmanian children have jumped on board one of the military's largest aircrafts, the C-17 Globemaster, back in the state for an educational visit.
Getting a taste of what it's like working in the Air Force.
It's really cool, but also a little bit scary.
And why is it scary?
Just the thought of jumping out of the plane at 1,000,000 feet high.
Children as young as 5 sitting in the hot seat inside one of the country's largest military transport aircrafts.
It's really big and it's different than other planes.
We're all over the world doing different things that Australia requires of us, essentially.
The C-17 Globemaster flew into the state yesterday from southern Queensland. The aircraft is used to deploy personnel and cargo around the world, for aid missions and for aeromedical evacuations.
We use Launceston as one of the primary diverts for when we go and do our Antarctic missions down south. So if Hobart's closed in with weather, we'll use Launceston to land. So we use this as a bit of training for the team.
There is no operational flying squadron based in Tasmania, so visits like this are the main opportunity to inspire the next generation of Defence Force workers.
I love it. I want to be a pilot, so like all the aircraft that come down, Kiara and Tori and I are always there.
It looks really fun helping other people have a good flight.
This is the second time the Globemaster has visited Launceston this year, but with its busy schedule, it's unclear when it will touch down next. Monica Dadson, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanian students have combined professional filmmaking with a road safety message as part of a statewide video competition. This year's theme, Zero Youth Fatalities and Keeping Your Mates Safe.
It came down to 4 finalists. 19-year-old Jack Phillips taking out the $5,000 winning title.
And how does it feel to win?
Pretty good. It is a surprise, but pretty good.
Students from around the state worked both independently and with their teachers to produce a 30-second commercial to highlight the importance of road safety while also improving their media and film skills.
They had really good production values and they thought it through and they discussed it with me and they discussed it with other people and yeah, they really commit to using that.
This year's theme, heading towards zero fatalities, aimed at young people for Road Safety Week.
These videos are really very powerful. You could run them as part of a campaign. And it really targets a message that young people, whether they're drivers or not, should be looking after each other.
I think the important thing about these awards and the videos that were made is that it sends a very positive message to people, particularly younger people, about the issues that they as a community need to discuss.
It was a bit of a debate at the start on what topic we'd focus on, but then we kind of narrowed it down to doing all of them and including them all into one to cover that whole range of things that goes on the road.
Jack's commercial can be viewed on YouTube and on the Road Safety Advisory website. Ruby Kamain, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanian fashion lovers are in for a treat with Swedish retail giant H&M set to open its doors in Hobart tomorrow. Staff spending today unpacking the final boxes.
Everyone that are interested in fashion, and I think most people are, and we want people to be able to dress well and feel well in their clothes.
H&M will open at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has closed lower after being weighed down by falls from the big banks, bringing an end to 5 consecutive days of gains. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 35.4 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 75.32 US cents and 82.2 Japanese yen.
So the TSL and Lauderdale say things are finally clicking for them this season as they prepare to take on the competition's Easy Beats in North Hobart, while an undermanned Clarence face the dreaded task of trying to halt Glenorchy's dominant season.
The D's have been thumped week after week so far this season, and although Lauderdale look back to their old selves in their round 4 win against the Tigers, the Bombers' standing coach says they'll still tread carefully at North Hobart Oval tomorrow.
Looking through their side, there's not a lot of players that I'm familiar with. Watch the tapes and they've got a lot of leg speed, so that's something we have to be wary of. They try to get you over the back to make sure we shut them down.
Still missing several big guns with injury, the match against the Tigers saw the Bombers' fresh faces step up, including the side's 3 Northern Territory imports.
Yeah, it's good so far. Everything's all working out good, except, yeah, just don't like the weather.
It'll be a rivalry round of sorts at KG5.
I know amongst the supporters it's enormous. You know, they keep telling me it doesn't matter who you beat as long as you beat Clarence 3 times.
Glenorchy continue to prove the competition's benchmark, with the side yet to drop a game and boasting some of the league's most exciting young talent, including 16-year-old goal magnet Jai Bierman.
The pure ability to do things with the football and read the football, you know, he's a real natural talent.
And while the Roos are still battling through injury woes of their own.
Obviously looking a little bit daunting at the moment. It's probably some of our top end too, which is not great at TSL level.
The Clarence coach says it isn't cause for concern just yet, despite a 30-point loss to the Blues.
To go down by only 5 goals was a positive. And look, those guys are going to show signs every week, but it's a slow burn. So we've just got to back them in each week, which we'll do.
2 of the NPL's biggest clubs are preparing to do battle this Sunday when South Hobart, fresh from a 5-1 thumping over Hobart Zebras in the Lako Cup match last weekend, host Olympia, who will be keen to bounce back from 1-goal loss to Devonport in extra time.
But when you lose, it hurts you. So the character of your players come out, and I think we've shown that character, and hopefully we've turned the corner.
I don't know how good our senior squad is at the moment. I don't think we've really strung 90 minutes together. It's about grinding out results whether you're home or away in the league.
The match begins at 2 p.m. at Darcy Street.
Good evening. Friendly beaches, Campania, Bushy Park and Hobart. Our top today with 18 degrees, 16 for Launceston and Devonport, Burnie 15 today. Temperatures dropping back to more like we would expect for this time of year. Most of the rain swept through overnight as well, the top fall today being just 18 millimetres at Mount Reid. St Helens and Grove 17 degrees, King Island, Smithton and Low Head 15, a top of 9 at Lyawini. There is a mid to high level band of cloud off our east coast as the low cloud moved in over the rest of the state, producing scattered showers in the west, more isolated elsewhere. Now that cloud over the Tasman Sea extends through to northern New South Wales into central regions, some low cloud over the Bight, and apart from some cloud over the Northern Territory, the rest of the nation mostly cloud free. Tomorrow a high near Adelaide pushes over most of eastern Australia. A cold front approaches Tasmania from the southwest. Winds westerly at 20 to 30 knots, tending northwesterly during the day and increasing to 40 knots over the south and southwest. Swells up to 5 metres. Gale warning, that's on from Tasman Island to Sandy Cape. A strong wind warning for all remaining coastal waters. A small craft wind alert for the lakes. Saturday in Hobart, a shower or 2 and getting windy, a top of 18 degrees, 14 the high for Maydena. Possible shower for Oatlands and 15 the top. Launceston, a shower or 2, 18 the maximum, 17 for Devonport. The wind picking up 2 over the mountains. Lyawini, a top of 9 after 1 tonight. 17 the high for Burnie with a showery windy day. Showers also for Strawn and Marrawar, 16 the maximum. And for the east, St Helens partly cloudy, 19 also for Swansea and Orford. Sunday and showers over the west, far south and Bass Strait, otherwise fine. Showers on Monday contracting to the west and south during the afternoon, and on Tuesday cloudy over the state with a shower over the west and far south again. Partly cloudy in Perth tomorrow along with Melbourne and Brisbane. A shower forecast for Adelaide with 21 degrees, sunny weather for Canberra and Sydney, and the sunny season is in full swing over the far north. Bit showery here though, 12 degrees in Hobart, partly cloudy in Launceston and 12 as well, Devonport cloudy and 11. Joe, Today, Star Wars Appreciation Day, so may the 4th be with you. To mark the occasion, they've released a brand new range of Star Wars lollies. They're called Wookiee treats. A bit chewy.
Gosh, I do apologise. All right, thank you very much. That's all from the team. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.